welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jay Donovan.
Aaron Cook.
Me, Todd Novak, and our super duper special guest this week, or this episode rather, it doesn't matter what week you're in. We have Scott from Stringjoy.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet, man. So we're all a Twitter over here because this is it's just always great to talk to other people who are sharing our interests, who are out there doing something with their passions and their interests that collide with ours, and I think it's extra cool because this is one of those things where digital meets the real world.
Go on.
Yeah, well, I'll elaborate. So, the fact that I, from a digital perspective, connected with Scott, which turned into a physical connection. I'll leave that there because it was through the mail. I got strings.
It's a metaphysical.
It's a metaphysical.
Okay.
So then a physical thing showed up at my door, and now we are re-engaging in a digital but real way. It's all very exciting.
Okay.
I think I'm following you.
Okay.
But I should say this is a milestone for us because this is our first out of the area guest knob.
Yeah.
Right.
With
First
us. So, yeah.
calling out of the area, right?
So thanks, Scott, for being our first.
Well, I'm very proud to be your first Nashville knob. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and so you're in Nashville proper, right?
Yep. I'm sitting in my office on Music Row right now.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
It would be more awesome if it wasn't like thunderstorming and horrible outside, but yeah, it's pretty neat.
So we're going to get into our interview with Scott in just a few, but as a guest knob, he gets to join in our pre main topic subject matter, which is what's going on in your music world this week, guys.
Oh, I'm going to go first. Mine is incredibly boring, so...
Oh, awesome. Way to sell it, bro. I'm on pins and needles. Drop it on me.
There's this thing that I have that's called a full-time job, and it's been going a little bit over full-time, quite a bit, so there's not been a whole lot that I've done. However...
I know something you did.
Other than shave my beard off?
Yes. Okay, so that was traumatic, and there's not too many pictures up there yet of you and your beard, except for the image of Old Man Analog.
Yeah.
And now you look like a child.
The child boy.
Yeah.
Dude, I just did the same thing myself. I went from like big beard to no beard at all, and it is a strange adjustment. I'm feeling for you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I tell you what, everybody, it feels like in the office this week has just, I don't know, people coming out of the woodwork being like, who are you?
I don't even know you're dead to me.
So, yeah.
Do you have phantom beard syndrome going on where you're like, you go to scratch it, but then it's like, wait, there's nothing.
It's interesting.
It's itching.
It's only when I have the beard does it act like a magnet. So it's like, if I have the beard, yes, I am petting it, stroking it, pondering life. Yeah, I said stroking it. But when it's gone, I have there's no like natural proclivity to just.
So now you don't touch your
I don't
face
know what to
at
do
all.
with my hands.
That's even more learning.
So,
Out of the frying pan.
Yes.
This conversation.
So yeah, musically, I actually started writing lyrics, which is something that I haven't done in a long time. So I've been sort of piecemealing some thoughts together that have sort of appeared in voice notes, written notes, backs of napkins, that sort of thing. So just with some of the newer songs that I've been attempting to write of late, I'm trying to actually finalize or get some kind of closure on those. So that's where I am. No real playing or anything like that.
Are you going to share any of your lyrics, or are you going to keep us all?
I am not ready to make myself that vulnerable.
Okay.
Especially when we have a real Nashville person here.
Oh, I'll share you some of my lyrics if that makes you feel a little bit better about it. Oh gosh.
Yeah, he typically writes like Norwegian deathcore, but with a country twang.
Nice.
Right? Did I hit it?
Oh,
That's not too different. I'm afraid now if I were to really try and write songs, I'd be like writing about my day-to-day life. So I'd be writing songs about like collecting invoices and other stupid crap. That'd be terrible.
well, that's the struggle as a grown ass man. Is that life is so boring?
one?
What an ass man? Yeah, it's just like, where's the inspiration come from as an adult doing adult things? It's quite lame.
But yet the struggle is real, right?
It's very real.
There are invoices everywhere you have to deal with. There are silly bills. There are PTA meetings.
Yeah, sick. Groceries.
I would love to hear some angry rock about soccer moms and PTA meetings.
Dude, I was gonna say the Harper Valley PTA. I mean, that's awesome. There is a song about exactly that.
Yeah. No, but that's actually, I probably think about that more often than not, Aaron, because Aaron, as you know, and if those of you who don't, so one of my passion projects is a Clash tribute band. Mm-hmm. And, the Clash were vocal and angry about stuff. And I'm a product of that era when a lot of people were, the classic punk rock stuff. Like I grew up with that.
Yeah.
And when you are writing music and you sort of drop into the power chord stuff and then you go, cool, this sounds great. Now I'm going to write something about it. And you're like,
yeah. I mean, well, that's the problem.
You really have to. You can't just go for the knee jerk thing. You actually really have to approach it in a different way.
Either that, or I got to start working in a different genre or something like that. Because everything's, a lot of my roots too are punk, especially in the way that I write. So yeah, it's like, what do you write about? Just getting upset, Sure, we could go political. That's always a good topic, but I don't like doing that. So it's like, my kids missed the toilet when they were pooping today. Does that turn into a punk rock song?
Yeah.
It could, I suppose, but it's just
actually right on cue. That's,
Yeah. I believe it was actually
Fury.
Joe Strummer that said something poignant that I was thinking about the other day. Because he mentioned how he wanted to grow with his audience. In an old interview, they were kind of trying to corner him into the punk rock thing. And he kind of rejected that and said, like, that punk is a mentality and it's a thing, and
right.
It's like I want to grow. I want my music and my audience and myself to grow together, because that's inevitable. And I was like, dang, okay, well, if he's doing it, and then you start listening to a lot of Tom Petty, and like the world makes sense. Scott, do you do much writing, or like tell us a little bit about your writing stuff?
Yeah, so honestly, at this point in time, like this very current moment, I'm not really doing a lot in terms of writing songs. I'll write things on guitar, but I haven't tried to put vocals to them for a little while. Mm-hmm. For I guess a lot of the same reasons. It's tough to know what exactly to talk about. And I mean, I have a lot of heroes, like Tom Waits certainly is a good example of somebody that's grown with an audience for decades and found a way to do that. But I guess, I don't know. I feel like I haven't found my voice. I had a voice when I was like 19 or 20 and playing a lot. Yes. And I'm not that anymore, but I haven't found my adult, like my grown-ass man voice yet. But I'm working on it.
That's the exact struggle that I'm having right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, when you're young, you don't have anything to write about really because you haven't been through any shit. And so now I'm older and I've been through shit. and I still don't know what to write about. I thought that was going to be like the beautiful little side, fringe benefit of all that. But I'm still not sure.
That's actually a humongous life issue. Mm-hmm. Like, just I can't just leave it there because I'm just like, whoa, elaborate, dude. But just the sense of like you when you're young, you don't know what you know. Then when you do know, you're like, damn, I wish I would have done that a long time ago.
Right.
I wish I would have taken the opportunities to have that voice, to be brave and to do all those things. So,
or you're angry when you're younger, but you don't have
why.
anything to really be angry about. And then when you get older, you might have some things to be angry about, but then you're too tired to be angry.
There you go.
This box of Cheez-Its won't open. Yeah. Not that that's ever happened to me. So, okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
J-Boy, what you got?
So, didn't buy no gear or anything this week, but like Aaron, I did work on a song.
You sound very sensitive right now.
I sound sensitive. I'm a sensitive guy. Do I need to lower my voice a little bit? No, I wrote a song with my daughter. She actually wrote the song, and then I accompanied her. This was new. This is our. We've jammed before. My daughter's 8, but she's lately taken to the piano. Remember the crappy piano I told you about in our house that I wanted to take the strings off and put on a bass?
Right.
It's a little bit flat, but the whole thing is flat. By like all the keys are equally flat, so you can.
That's
play
a new
it.
market for you, by the way, Scott. Taking piano strings off pianos and using them on bass.
Hey, there's an idea there. They're not actually as different as you would think, really.
Right.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. See, Todd? Yeah.
I'm wrong.
I don't know that. I think piano strings are bronze. You'd think I would know more, but I'm terrible at piano. So I've never really looked under the hood in a while, at least. But yeah, so that'd be a problem. But I don't know. We'll mess around with it one day. Somebody bring me an old piano.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get this guy a piano, would you?
Where do we get? They used to be everywhere, right?
We can find Craigslist. You can't. I mean, you can't scroll. I don't know how you. I was trying to put that in a physical sense, but you can't scroll 3 posts without seeing a piano like for dang near free. Mm-hmm. Anyways, go on, Jay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I digress. Yeah. So anyway, my daughter wrote the song, and I did a little arco playing on the upright to accompany her. She came up with this really cool thing. She's 8. She knows a few chords. She's not taking any lessons, and she's about ready to. And she just put together this pattern, and so she wanted to jam with me. I was like, she said, "Will you come play?" I was like,
"Yeah,
I've been waiting like my whole life for you to say, let's be in a band together." Sorry. Had to do that. No.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I accompanied her song, and it kind of the chords she was playing kind of has this little bit of Rhapsody in Blue. Now let me say this. It's only like 3 chords, right? But the way she's going between them has this kind of Rhapsody in Blue, little something about it. But it is a blues pattern. It's just a blues pattern. But so I'm just putting down some bowing to it, and she remembers.
You're doing bowing.
Arco, arco style. And,
okay.
And
I didn't know what arco style was.
Yeah, or bowing. Well, now
you call it
now
bowing?
You do.
Doesn't that sound weird?
Bowing.
I was bowing.
Yeah, you play arco,
bass.
and that's probably why they call it that, because it sounds stupid to say. I was bowing. You were bowling? What?
Yeah.
No. So anyway, yeah, we wrote a. She wrote a song.
Are you going to do your bass line for us right now?
But no, I'm not gonna
Let's not do that.
injure
That'll
anyone's
be terrible,
ears.
Podcasting, shame on us. Scott, to you.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's good that you rang me up today. It's been a good gear day. So my dad is a retired school teacher. Just a couple years ago, he retired. So he is very bored, and he goes garage sailing a bunch, just for something to do. And whenever he sees something guitar related, he'll text me a picture and be like, "Should I get it?" So it's almost always a harmony, something crappy that's not worth it. But this morning, he sent me a picture of an Ibanez, like a CP835. It was the compressor that was in the TS808 series, like the super rare ones that they made. And then an Ibanez TS10, the 3rd gen tube screamer. And anyway, he was like, should I get these? They're like $50 a piece. And I was like, yes, of course. So he got them for $85 together.
Holy moly.
And each of those pedals is depending on condition, and I'm not sure how nice they are yet. He's going to send them to me. But they're anywhere between like $125 to $200 pedals. So it's a hell of a steal. I wish I could just keep them, but since like he did the legwork, I feel like I need to sell them so I can split the cash with him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But a pretty sweet find. I mean, yeah.
Where does he live?
He's in Indianapolis. That's where I'm from. Indianapolis, Indiana.
Because I was going to say the idea of, and you know, this may be a misconception. Sorry, I just dropped the phone on the table. I would think that for those of us who are constantly looking at used gear, which I spend way too much time doing that.
Fact.
If I was going to pick two markets that I either couldn't find anything, or if I did find something would be so expensive, based on the market, not based on the actual piece of equipment, it would be Austin and Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's crazy amounts of gear here in the city, so that's great. And I mean, you can always find like the Craigslist is amazing, but at the same time, there aren't that many people that you can like scam out of shit. You know, like everybody knows that something's worth something.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up in Indianapolis, I can't remember what all the pedals were, but I used to just hustle on Craigslist all the time. And I found this one lady that was selling like her husband's like, you know, a handful of pedals. And it was like like a Crybaby and something else, but then like a green box Russian Big Muff fuzz from like, I think those are late 70s or early 80s.
Sovtek
it wasn't the Sovtek. Well, it probably was made by Sovtek, but it like was electro harmonics on the front. I think. I don't know. It's been a long time. But they were worth even then like $250.
Yeah.
I flipped that.
They're still pretty expensive.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're even more now. But the point is, you know, in a lot of weird markets, there isn't as much stuff, but you can find people that don't know what they have. And in Nashville, people know what they have. Yeah. But the thing is, like, you know, because players here in like the 50s and 60s, like there were plenty of people in Nashville playing electric guitar in the 1950s, which in most cities there weren't. So by extension, like in Nashville, there is a crap ton of like amazing like old Strats and Tellys and stuff that, you know, sell for $30,000, but it's cool. They're here.
Yeah. Jeez.
Probably a lot of pedal steels as well.
I'm sure there are. Yeah, I have not found the like pedal steel depot yet. But the thing is, at the same time, I do have one friend named Luke Schneider who's like a pedal steel guy who's a little bit younger here compared to some of them. And I just know through him, there's only a handful of dudes. You know, there's like 7 to 10 dudes that like do all the pedal steel for everything. So it's not as many as you'd think. And each of those guys gets a ton of work. But
yeah,
that's because that stuff's really hard to do well.
It is. And you know, I know, like, there are people that, you know, have gotten a lot of great auditions. I know with him, it's like he's next up in line. You know, once somebody kicks the bucket or retires, he'll get amazing gigs, you know, with Garth Brooks or whatever.
Heir to the throne.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. The pedal you mentioned earlier, I think our Minister of Information has some of that information.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, the Ibanez. Yeah.
So he spotted one on Reverb.
Which one?
This is the CP835. Is that the one?
Yeah.
The one you were talking? The red one. It's like red compressor too. Yeah.
That's the one.
It does look. The button on it. Yeah, $200. Let's see. Yeah, $200 plus shipping.
Yeah, free shipping.
Oh, free shipping. Yeah.
Still, $200 for a 25, maybe 30-year-old pedal?
I think they were made in 81.
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
yeah, we're like 35 years old. Not a bad deal. And at the same time, I mean, the one that I'm getting mailed to me cost $42.50.
What a killer find.
So, yeah, not a bad deal. And those TS10s, too, I mean, those aren't like the most highly lauded of tube screamers. I know that's the point that Ibanez was just like throwing whatever chips in there they wanted to, but they still sell for a pretty good amount. So I don't know. It's pretty good find.
Well, 10 points for the appropriate use of lauded too. That's impressive.
Am I the points leader now?
Definitely.
In the lead, definitely.
So let's see. In my world, I typically when I'm writing or playing stuff, I will go from a guitar standpoint because that's what I play primarily. And I decided this week I was like, I'm going to write from a bass standpoint. And then when I started doing that, I kind of immediately fell into like bass licks and feels that I've done for a long time. So I'm like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to not do that, to do something productive, to grow a little bit, and to learn a little bit. So I plugged into scottsbasslessons.com. He's also got a great YouTube channel. And his method, his approach, and just the way he communicates is just outstanding.
Is that the dude that wears the glove?
British dude. Yeah, he is great.
Yeah, an interesting thing about the glove Scott, I'm not sure if you're aware of Scott's Bass Lessons.
I don't know the guy, but I've seen dudes play with the glove.
Yeah,
it totally like you have no finger noise at all. It looks weird to me, but
yeah,
it is. And the funny thing is, it's from a medical condition, and he had a post recently where he said, "All right, I'm going to dispel all the myths about my glove." And as he was telling me this,
Michael Jackson,
I was like, holy crap, because it's really weird. It's like an electricity thing in his hand. So if he doesn't have the glove on, and he holds his hand out, his fingers randomly, individual ones will twitch at like lightning speed. Okay. If he takes his other hand and puts it close, it stops twitching.
Whoa.
So it's like it's a weird nerve electricity thing. So when he puts the glove on, there's no issue at all. Now here's the crazy thing. It's not that is the crazy thing. My thing's not so much the crazy thing. But a while ago, I was experiencing very similar symptoms. My fingers would not vertically, horizontally, they would just vibrate just really, really fast. Not all of them at one time, just like one finger. Kind of like, when you get a twitch in your eye and you're like, what the hell's wrong with my eyeball? Why is it twitching so much? But it was more than a twitch. It was like I couldn't possibly move my finger that fast if I tried. And then it happened in another finger. And I was like, oh man, I've got like awful carpal tunnel or, all the typical things you kind of hear. So when I heard this, I was like, that sounds exactly what I was dealing with. I'm not having it right now. He suffers pretty badly from it. Anyways,
I thought you were just drinking too much coffee or something.
No, it was keeping me up at night. I mean, like I jam my hand under the pillow and it'd be like, and I was like, like phantom hand. Anyways, his methodology, I just really appreciate how he approaches music and the teaching of music. And I wrote him a note because I was like, hey, do you know anybody that actually approaches guitar this way? Please tell me that there's somebody out there, because I haven't seen anybody match him in the way that he does it. And they're free bass lessons, and they're
easily worth money.
And you can go down that route, and you get all the bells and whistles that come with that, and I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm not a bass player at a core, so I'm not going to do that. I appreciate what he's doing for me. Anyway, so that's scottsbasslessons.com. And it's a great way to get into the bass. Like, even if you just kind of want to do it at arm's distance, you learn enough in each one to just get a little bite. Anyways, so that's what I was doing. So it's kind of gear-ish because there's computer.
There's
computer.
And there's other gear involved,
and
like a bass.
A bass, yes.
Guitar.
Okay, so let us get into what we came here to do today. We're just you're gonna edit this out real quick when it comes to this, Aaron, because I'm just setting up my phone. I'm
not editing
this. You gotta edit it. Okay, so
I should tell you while you're screwing around, I'm looking at shreddies.com, which is a glove for guitarists, but there's no fingers on it, and it's just this really like creepy stock photos of this very young girl wearing these like shred gloves. It's really weird.
That is weird.
I don't recommend going there, but it's there for you.
We're going there.
It's shreddies.com. And yeah, as we all know, if you want somebody to go somewhere on the internet, just tell them don't go here.
Oh yeah, that's what we just did.
Gear for the gigging musician.
But there's these little pictures in the bottom left-hand corner, and if you click through, like some of them are, it's just very creepy to me. It's very sultry.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
playing a Parker Fly, it looks like, which is even worse.
I know.
That should be a topic of conversation.
What, the Parker Fly?
Just
If you go on this website.
Yeah, we're on the website right now.
Yeah, that dude.
You should click the owner's manual link on the left.
I put them on.
Oh my God!
Wait,
put them on.
Is that
that's
it?
That's the owner's manual.
Well, is the owner the guy with the microphone thing?
Shreddy story. That's got to be Mr. Shreddy right there.
He looks like a toolbox, doesn't he? Jeez.
Yep. Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways.
Okay.
All right. So today, on this episode of Guitar Knobs Podcast, we welcome Scott from Stringjoy. Anybody not familiar with Stringjoy? Scott's going to tell you all about it right now, but we're really pleased to have him. I just bought some strings from him recently, and it's been a really great experience. So I'm going to hand it over to Scott.
Totally. Well, thanks for the kind words, Todd. I'm glad you're digging the strings we sent you over. So to anybody who doesn't know what or who we are, we're a small sort of boutique, if you like that word, string company here in Nashville, Tennessee. And what we specialize in, though we do all sorts of different things in the string world, are custom guitar string sets. So when you go to our site, which is stringjoy.com, you can go through any of our sets and you can tweak and choose every single gauge of every string in the set. We go from 7s on the light side up to 90s on the heavy side just for electric guitar. So we offer a tremendous amount of flexibility, and probably our favorite thing is we really work with players to try and find the perfect set of strings for their particular playing style and their gear setup. So yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from, trying to add a different element there and a level of customization and service that I know a lot of people haven't experienced from other string companies before. So that's our big thing, as well as just making sure that we're making the best quality strings that we can in the first place, which I think they hold their own even if you just play a standard set. But that's a little bit about us.
That sounds like you've done that before.
Yeah. NAMM is pretty good practice.
I can only imagine. So yeah, that was actually a really great overview. I think the only thing that for me, the big interest point was that you can customize your gauges. So it isn't that you're just getting a different manufacturer. It isn't that you're getting a hand wound from Nashville or anything. It's like you can make, if you want 6 E strings, you can get that. I don't know why you'd do that.
Hey, I'm going to try that now. Good idea.
We have people, man. I have seen everything under the sun, from like tunings that'll be like a low E with 5 high E's. That's not very common. It
Wow.
exists. Yeah, you can teach anyone to play the guitar when that's your setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, a monkey could do that.
Golly.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it definitely has a lot of applications for anybody doing any sort of alternate tuning. A great example are people that drop tune on the sixth string quite a bit. Regular guitar string sets, like not even if you're tuning down, just playing in standard, almost all of them have way less tension on the sixth string compared to the fourth and fifth strings. It's a big problem in all sets that nobody's really fixed. Except for us, But
Nice.
But yeah, so it's already a problem. You see about 2 or 3 pounds less tension on the sixth string compared to the other strings. But once you drop tune, it gets horrible. So if you ever play in drop D and you like feel you can bend your sixth string basically around the back neck of the guitar.
Easily.
We fix that. Yeah, exactly. And even if you're just playing an E, if you really try and pay attention, your sixth string is way more flexible than a lot of your others, which causes a lot of buzzing if you're doing heavy blues riffing. And a lot of pro guitarists have fixed that. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan played with a way heavier sixth string. So we try to bring that level of customization to everybody. So it's not just Stevie Ray or Jimi Hendrix or Billy Gibbons that can customize their string sets.
Yeah, that was a unique experience, and I know that we talked about this in a previous episode, but just for context, I'll touch on the experience that I had, which led to Scott being with us tonight. So probably like many of you out there, I have seen the barrage of. I might have just beat you on points there.
No.
I'm not sure. No?
Lauded still wins.
Lauded wins.
Cornucopia.
Cornucopia, yep. I was going to say plethora.
Plethora.
Plethora. Oh, thank you. You're a Three Amigos fan. Thanks.
So, you have been killing it on Instagram specifically. And kind of like the pianos we mentioned, if I'm scrolling through my feed, every fourth or fifth post is a Stringjoy post from somebody who's received the packages that you sent them in the mail, and that's how I learned about your product. So I said I'm going to give this a shot. This would be great content. I'd like to share this with the listeners. So I crafted my own set, and I wanted a wound G just to see what that would be like. I play, as I mentioned before, I'm playing Joe Strummer stuff in one of the bands that I'm in, and that requires all 6 strings or none, basically. And I'm playing pretty furiously, and I was like, I wonder if a wound G would give me a little bit more power there.
Yeah.
When I got the package, you got the famous handwritten note from Scott, that's cool, man. That's like a Hallmark thing now.
Oh, yeah. We couldn't stop doing that if we tried. At first, it was just because I was doing it all myself, and I was like, I really care. I want people to know that. Yeah. And then, I was like, we certainly won't be able to do this forever, but I'll do it while I can.
Yeah.
We'll do it forever. We have to.
It's a great touch, and it doesn't take much for people to say, all right, you got me, I'm in, and that's one of those things that does that.
Especially in this world, where there's so many big companies that, not to hate on them, there are people making great products for sure, but, they're kind of too big to care in a certain way. And so it's nice and easy to be able to come in and be like, hey, we're here for you, and we want to show that any way that we can. Yeah. And that makes a big difference, whether it's just, writing a note, just saying like, thanks for, your business, or if somebody breaks a string, we'll almost always send them a new string, just because, we don't have to, but just to be nice. And those things do make a big difference to people. I certainly, as a consumer, would always rather support a smaller company that like gives a damn about me than somebody that's, they're doing $100 million a year anyway, and they could care less if I was left or not,
Yeah. Well, let's touch on that really quick as far as the company. So like, obviously in our world, the music world, there are loads of those small companies, the boutique companies. So obviously there's tons of luthiers that are making, 3 to 10 guitars a year, maybe, and up from there, obviously. There are, the inundation of boutique pedals is mind numbing right now. It's really kind of overload. But nevertheless, most of those guys are like, hey, 1 or 2 guys, they're doing it in their apartment and they're taking pictures of it and they're sharing with us and everything. And that's cool too. I think the fact that you were able to, whether it was by design or not, you found a niche in the midst of, what are the 3 things, 3 or 4 things that basically every electric guitar player needs: strings, a guitar, an amp, and usually pedals. And nobody's really tackled the string thing, at least to the degree that you have. And the other interesting thing about that is that it's such an easy entry point. I don't have to drop $200 on a boutique pedal, that a boutique delay pedal that's, one of 10,000 out there. I get something that my hands are touching constantly and that is a visceral experience. So why don't, if you can, I'm sure you can, you probably know the story, but why don't you share with us, how did you get here? Like what brought you to decide I'm going to create a string company in the sea of strings, like on the wall? You go to the guitar shop and you're like, yeah, I should fit in there. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, it is. And in truth, if I teleported back in time to tell my younger self what that sort of ride would be like, it's possible it would look a little bit different. But at the same time, it's been a great fun ride. I mean, for me, I've been playing guitar since I don't know how much you want me to go through all that, but since I was a kid, and I've kind of always been, a tone hound. So like every guitar I have is modded somehow. And my amps, I started playing with tubes a lot and got really into pedals like everybody. And at a certain point, was like, why am I doing something cool with everything that I have except my strings? I'm just playing. I used to play, I did a lot of Ernie Balls, and I played D'Addario probably for the longest. And so I got into like mixing gauges of sets to try to get things right. And, for me, basically, I wanted something between a light set, like 10 to 46, and a light top skinny top heavy bottom set, like 10 to 52. So I started mixing things. I was taking like the plain strings off of a light set and then like the 28, 38, 48 from a medium set to get something kind of in between. And I got really into wound thirds and was playing all around. Later on, I worked in the music industry for a while and decided I wanted out of that. And when I was trying to decide what to do, I was like, well, hey, here's something that nobody's really doing, and got really into how can we make guitar strings better in the first place, and how can we offer a different experience for people that lets them customize things, lets them really, see what they take for granted when they're just using regular strings. So I got into it that way, I guess. And it is interesting, like you said. I mean, there are millions of pedal makers, it seems like, at this point, and not so many people messing around on the string side. And so that's certainly nice. But at the same time, I will say, if you sell one pedal to somebody, you might make $100 off it. And when you sell one set of strings to somebody, you're making a couple bucks. So it's a little bit harder from a business perspective. You really got to, it's a numbers game. You got to find a lot of people. But
isn't that sort of the Whopper mentality? Okay, so let me clarify. That's something that we use in like advertising and stuff like that. Not that we are. I don't know. We haven't talked very much about that. I'm going to leave that be. But anyways, Whopper mentality, make 1 million of them. You're going to make a lot more than if you sold them for really expensive and sold less. So you're selling 10,000 set of strings a year. I'm making that number up. I have no idea. We have no affiliation with Scott and Stringjoy. As opposed to maybe, one of the guitar boutique, pedal boutique pedals. boutique pedals, who maybe sell, a handful of them. Granted, they're several $100s, but I mean, are you seeing that return now, or?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely a numbers game there. The thing for us is we're kind of in the middle of that game, because the people really doing the Whopper thing are the Ernie Balls of the world, who are just slapping together a bunch of sets. It's all entirely automated, sending them out all over the world and having people sell them for a couple bucks, without a human being involved. So we're kind of in the middle there, because we do still, when you order a set from us, we put it together right then, and inspect every string right before we send it out. So when you get them from us, they're about as fresh as we can possibly get them. So we definitely have more of a boutique handle on it in that sense. There's a lot more human involvement. So from a business perspective, I will say it's interesting to kind of walk that middle line. And we're not Burger King by any means, but we're also not the other guys who can sell 100 of something over the course of a year and make tons of money. Yeah. It's kind of right in the middle. So.
Nice. So. Is there anything that, like, as you've obviously got electric, you've got bass strings, you've got acoustic strings. In those designs of strings, I'm just kind of curious, because I feel like each of the big players kind of has their own like signature element, or to a degree. Did you consider anything? Are you considering anything that makes it a little, I guess, ownable to you once they're out of the package?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, certainly our strings stand on their own in that way, but it's not exactly a gimmick either. So, I mean, it depends on what alloys everyone's using in strings, and everyone uses different ones. We do use a hex core for our electric, and we use a round core for our bass, which for different reasons, basically. But yeah, I mean, we think our strings sound different and better than any other strings out there when you do get them strung up on the guitar. And that has to do with the alloy we're using. It has to do with how fresh they are. And it has a lot to do with the quality control that we are looking into every single string when we put it into the package. Mm-hmm. So, we'll get into, right now we're using the same nickel alloy for all of our electric strings. We kind of wanted the one that we thought hit right down the center and was just right for the vast majority of guitarists in terms of the alloy itself. But we'll eventually be getting into doing like a stainless steel and getting into flat wounds and all that sort of thing as well.
Right. So obviously they're made in USA, and they're made locally, right?
So yeah, we have a couple of winders that we work with to make our strings in particular, and then those come to Nashville and we pack them up here and then send them out elsewhere. So yeah, they're all made in the USA. It's all made in the USA materials. So yeah, it's sorry, I've got one of my guys from my shop chatting at me real quick. I apologize.
Oh, no sweat. Take care of business.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I try to like run off to my office and just hang out and talk with people about guitar all the time, and then occasionally I have to actually run a business. But I guess to summarize what I was saying, because I tend to ramble a little bit if you guys haven't been able to tell, the big difference on the strings is mainly freshness above all else. Like they're coming to you almost, they're hardly ever more than a week or two from the winders when they come to you in the package. And quality control. We have humans involved at every single step to make sure that the strings that go out to you are only the best possible strings they can be. It doesn't mean that they don't, we don't get occasions where a string will break when it gets strung up, but they're like super, super rare for us. Like they're rare enough that I can afford to replace that string every time it happens. I mean, it's less than like 1 out of every 1,000 sets.
Wow.
So we're trying to make everything that we do on that front be designed around making sure the strings are the best possible strings they can be.
That's awesome.
Scott, hey, Scott, I was looking through your site, and it says that you donate 5% of your net profits to support music education.
That we do.
Tell us about that. Like, how did you get that idea? Why? Well, I mean, obviously it's a good thing to do, but why did that come to you to do that, and how's that going?
I've always been really into social entrepreneurship in a certain way, and so it was important to me kind of when I started that there be some sort of element of us, doing good and it not just being trying to make money all around. So I implemented that right from the beginning, and that was by design because I knew if I tried to do it later on, it'd be a lot harder once there was more money floating around. But it was really easy to be like, all right, if I sell a $10 set of strings, then I'm going to give this much away. So I kind of tried to marry myself to that right from the beginning. But yeah, last year we chose W.O. Smith here in Nashville, which is a school that teaches music to underprivileged kids to support. And so I'm not sure who we're going to choose yet for this year. I'll look into it a little bit more closer to the end of the year. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to find a way to help people as well. Obviously you want the product to be great and deliver a lot of value to people and the service to be great, but it's also good to know that when the money comes in, there's some element that it's helping people as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's good. What do you guys ever donate strings to, or do you just keep it to like a set sum of money that they can use for anything that they need?
We try to do money just because it's a little bit easier. Like, for instance, W.O. Smith, they do a number of different lessons for different people, so we didn't want it to be like just the guitar kids that got the love. But in the future, we definitely look at donating strings as well. We haven't done it yet, but I have nothing against it at all.
I like the fact that you pointed out, I actually perked, I sat up in my chair when you said this, that you switch up who you're donating to. That's a really cool idea, and I think when most people think about charity, it's just like pick one and everything goes to it and
forever
and
there.
it works out. But
yeah, it's more fun that way. I mean, we also supported New City Kids in New Jersey last year for a couple months as well, and they were really cool. It's just more fun to be able to help out different people in different areas. I'd really like to get into something that could help internationally, but I haven't dug in there yet to see who would be a really awesome person to work with on that front. The first year I wanted to do a lot to help Nashville, of course, and that's always great, but it'd be cool to be able to have a truly global impact as well. So into the future, hopefully, and as we get bigger and bigger, that amount that we'll be able to help out will continue to increase. So I'm looking forward a lot to that. That'll just be fun. Yeah.
I mean, you might, there's a great charity out there called MAG, M-A-G-G, that you might want to consider. It's middle-aged guitar guys. That would, I belong to that charity.
What are you talking about?
Crap up.
Oh,
I'm actually looking it up. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, really?
It's right under the Human Fund.
What?
What?
It's a Seinfeld thing.
Oh,
come on.
Sorry.
The human. That's anyways.
Okay.
So okay, Scott. I think Aaron's he's waving at me. He's got a question for you.
I'm kind of afraid to ask this because I don't know how much or what kind of information you can disclose. But who's like the most notable person to have ordered from you? Are you allowed to disclose that?
Oh goodness, I don't usually get into that just because we're not big. Like I can tell you, I haven't had an order from David Gilmour yet. I'm waiting.
Todd Novak is your.
We've had the only reason I won't say is like we've had a bunch of guys that are doing pretty well. Like, but at the same time, we don't yet have like a huge like Jimmy Page guy or something like that yet. So it's like I've got a bunch of guys that are all kind of on the same level. And I don't want to like rattle off 70 names.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of
anger the guest.
No. That's why I said I'm kind of afraid to ask. But I mean, it's just like this curiosity in the back of my head. It's like, oh,
yeah.
No, that's cool. That's a good question.
I should say a little bit of that's by design too.
Yeah.
I mean, up until we came about, the way definitely in guitar strings and probably in most of the guitar world in general. The way that people think marketing works is you get Zakk Wylde or somebody huge to use, you pay that guy money or whatever. And not to say Zach in particular, I was just saying him as a really famous guitarist. But you pay somebody a bunch of money to use your strings, and then you plaster ads in all the magazines that, hey, this guy uses our strings. You should too. And that's the way that like all the marketing has been in the guitar world since the dawn of time. And I find it tremendously boring because like who cares? Just because Slash uses these strings doesn't mean you should. Like you don't want to be exactly like Slash. Slash is awesome. But like you want to be your own thing, and that's the way that it always works. So I tried to like specifically not go that route and to just go after actual people. And so that's why a lot of our marketing, like if you look on Instagram, we share pictures of all of our different players that'll post pictures of our strings with their guitars. Yeah. Because we want it to be like, hey, Joe in California really likes these strings, and Joe matters, even though he's not Joe Satriani. Joe is still important, so I kind of intentionally tried to do it that way instead of just making it all about celebrity worship or whatever, because we're all guitarists and we're all cool. And, I'm much more likely to pick up a pedal because, one of my buddies was telling me how awesome it was when they tried it out, more than I am because Steve Vai said it was cool.
I think that's one of the more intriguing things about the brand you've created. I mean, it's like this, and Todd alluded to this earlier, but the use of social media is sort of fantastic because, I mean, this is real. These are real people.
He's got 74,000 real
crap load of followers on Instagram.
Yeah. So, I mean, hats off to that. I mean,
thank you very much.
It's good marketing.
I'm glad that you brought that point up about the, I guess you could call it the everyman route, because I think that is a distinguished thing. Had you gone about it the normal way, chances are we might have never heard about it and or paid attention to it.
Or cared, quite honestly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's authentic to just, I like how you said that, like, don't try to sound like so-and-so, sound like yourself. That's a cool
and that's
attitude.
really our whole thing, is like you should do, we'll work with you to find something that works for you on the string front. You shouldn't just have to settle for what somebody else thinks you should be playing.
Right.
That's the point. We're all individual musicians and we want to do anything we can to be different.
Well, there's a slightly, there's something else that I'm picking up on this, which is, I'm deeply into social media, and whenever I'm doing anything with a brand or I'm posting something, I will tag it, I will @mention it, I will hashtag it, all that stuff, and it almost is a mark of your musicianship to a degree, rather than championing guitars or music. It's a weird thing. If you look at your Instagram feed,
this is getting
it's
deep.
like one of the it's probably one of the greatest collections of rad guitars.
Not sweet ones.
Not rad guitars that people go like, wow, that's so awesome and unattainable and perfect and pristine, and but it's like, hey, this is my guitar. It's almost like hot rod culture. And it's your product lines up with that mentality more so than big brand A, B, or C. So
well, yeah, we certainly try to, and thank you. I should say, I can't take all the credit here. I mean, we definitely asked people in the beginning to like share, if they'd like to share pictures of their guitar with our strings, but I don't know. It just kind of, it was a little bit organic the way it started happening. I can't
good.
Say
that's even better.
But yeah, it's just people started doing it, and then we saw it. So it was like, well, I have to share these because these are awesome. And then once people saw, I think, us sharing other people, they were like, oh, well, I want them to share a picture of my guitar. And so, it just became this cool culture of, kind of celebrating your own guitar and celebrating
and the note.
String Day, and then the note too, yeah. And that really, I don't know, that I'm going to sound like all bashful here, but that really wasn't intended to be like even a public thing. The note part, it's just we try to make it just to people. but it became it. You know, everyone started sharing it. So I mean, I guess there is a viral element there, if you can call it that.
It absolutely is.
Well, it's experiential. It's part of the whole experience, you know. And that's why I also think it's
great definition of experience.
I know. Captain Obvious over here. I'm now Captain Obvious since I've shaved the beard off.
Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
Captain Obvious is trademarked.
Oh, okay. By whom? Anyways,
Hotels.com, dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, but. Now I've lost my train of thought.
Experientialness.
Yeah, I think the modern consumer. This is sounding way marketing heavy, but like the modern consumer craves experiences, and that handwritten note is such a huge aspect of that.
Yeah,
I think it's great. And even when Todd was telling his original story. Or his story about his experience, it's like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I use that as an intro on what's new in our world. Like episode 3 or 4, something like that, maybe 5 or 6.
Well, you even mentioned it in a couple.
Yeah, it made an impact
episodes.
Because you don't have those too often with any brand on any any kind of product.
Right.
It just isn't really there.
I mean, it cut. Just from a sheerly from a, tactically speaking, now we're getting marketing.
Yeah.
Senior sensitive.
Isn't it funny that something like a handwritten note, something old school, would cut through, would break through to you, whereas it used to be, I think it used to be the opposite when digital communication was first starting. You know, it was novel to get like an email about something. You're like, wow, you didn't want all of the hard copies of mail everywhere, but a letter, like an old school handwritten thing. I reviewed a piece for another blog once, and I hadn't reviewed it. I'd been sitting on it a long time.
Can we say what you do on the side?
Huh. Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Say it.
Well, I review software and stuff too for TechCrunch. It's my other job, and this guy had sent me. It was a guitar cable, actually. It was that you would plug in, and he had his own app, and it was a while ago, and it was basically the 30 pin on one end and the 1/4 inch on the other end, and you'd plug it in, and he had his own app, and this guy just built it himself, and he sent me a postcard, like, hey Jay, it'd been like 3 or 4 months since he sent it, and I forgot about it. It just slipped through, but he sent me a postcard, and suddenly I remembered the whole thing, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought about it, the effort it took of him to write it out. There was effort there, and it cut through to me, and I was like, yeah, that made a difference.
Yeah.
That's real, right? That's for real.
Yeah.
So I really
appreciate, dude.
I appreciate seeing all these letters here when I'm looking through the Instagram, that it really makes a connection
You
with
really
people.
have created a phenomenon. I mean, that's for certain.
Well, and it's funny, I will say, and I mean this only, not in a negative way at all, but I didn't invent the handwritten note by any means, but it
a couple
seemed
thousand
like
years.
Oh yeah, but it felt like when I was like first doing it that like I'm not even sure where I got the idea from, but I don't think there was anybody in the guitar world doing it at that time. And now I see a lot of different people do it now, which is cool. I mean, that's totally fine. I wish I could trademark the note.
You got the credit. I mean, anybody who's it shares this world with us knows that. I mean, clearly 74,000 people do, so you're in good standing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna bring this home real quick. Thank you, dude, for sharing all that with us. We are going to shift to our segment of top 4, and this episode is favorite or most desired signature, so factory signature guitar. All right, so that means it's got to have somebody's name on it that isn't your own, that you didn't fake or something. No. And Scott, why don't we let you lead that off?
Yeah, totally. So I should ask, do you want me to give you my top 4 signature
Oh, no,
guitars?
just the one.
I didn't think so.
Collectively,
Okay.
it's the 4. Yeah.
That's what I thought, but when you just said that right then, I was just like, ugh, crap. I hope they don't want all
you
that.
guys. This is a lot
I have to say, and this is just what came to me, so it must be the right answer, but I can't say, I've never actually owned one. But like years ago, when Fender came out with the J Mascis, like the purple Jazzmaster, I wanted one of those things so freaking bad, and I never got one. That was like kind of at the beginning, like when Jazzmasters were cool, but not that many people had them yet. You know, like these days, everybody plays a Jag or a Jazzmaster, so like I can't do it anymore.
Offset went gangbusters.
Oh, and for good reason. They're awesome, but I wouldn't feel cool now. You know, I got to be ahead of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that one. I played one in the shop one time for like an hour, and it was amazing. And maybe one of these days I need to buy one for myself. But that was pretty cool.
What do you think of the cream with the gold anodized plate?
See, so now it's the cream, and that looks cool. But like the one I'm talking about was like a purple flake with the gold plate, and that sucker. That was a looker.
I love the gold plate. When I saw one in the store, like I remember walking in the store. The first time I saw one, I walked into the store and like I turned right, and that just screamed at me, and I walked right to it and I picked it up and I said, "Goodness sakes, this is nice."
Oh yeah, those things are cool. And I mean, I should say, part of why probably I never got one is like it's always seemed weird to me to have somebody else's signature guitar.
Yeah.
And I guess for the same reason that we were talking about earlier. Now they're cool as heck. I'm glad they exist. I love like checking them out. But at the same time, I really do. Not to get off topic, I would really like to check out one of those St. Vincent signatures.
Yeah, those are making a lot of traction right now.
Well, yeah, Ernie Ball's spending a lot of money on it. I'll tell you that. Everywhere I turn.
For sort of a non-guitar heavy type band, I mean, I don't think of them as a guitar band.
No, well, I mean, Andy Clark does cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I agree. The only thing that I will say that's been weird about the marketing to me is like it really feels to me like they're going after the female demographic, right? Because that hasn't really been targeted that well by a lot of guitar companies. But it really feels to me, the marketing, like a bunch of old guys being like, how do we go after the female demographic? And the reason I say that is because all the crap that you read all over, it's always like designed for a woman's body. I'm like, oh, you shut up. I know what they mean. Like it's, you know, so that it doesn't get in the way of your chest there, the way that I imagine guitars would. But like, you don't need to. It's not a razor. It's not like you don't need to do that. It's really. It just feels really icky to me.
Yes.
The way they're doing it. But you know, that's. I obviously am biased here. You know, so I should take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. That's a good one. All right, man. What you? Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, Jay.
So I think. You know, I'm not totally into signature.
Your entries are always
signature basses either. You know, like you know, I'm kind of like I just like whatever it is. And while I might worship some basses, and I'm a bass player too, by the way. While I might worship some bassists, I'm not always like trying to get their guitar. But the Ampeg, the Dan Armstrong plexi bass is always kind of like
coveted.
You know, I've always been kind of interested in that, and like part of it's like I'm like, how can that, you know? And I've heard it played. I'm like, how can it sound good, you know? And I don't know why.
It's electric, man.
Because if you turn everything up, you know, how can plexiglass sound good? Is like the question ringing in my head. But
to wood tone discussion right now, because that's like 5 episodes.
But yeah, the slide, you know, the novelty of the pickup and everything, it's just always kind of cool, you know.
Yeah,
and I've seen a lot of people play them, and
the guitars are rad too. The
Can I jump in really quickly? And I'm being terribly rude here. I'm sorry.
Do it.
I hadn't even considered this because I play guitar primarily, but I also play bass. I should say, for some reason, the Fender Marcus Miller bass, I would buy one of those in a second.
Yeah.
As much as I don't generally love customs or signature model stuff, those have always been awesome to me. I would love one of those things.
Any particular reason?
I don't know. It's just hold on. I feel like they have
The
yeah.
pick guard's rad.
It's got all kinds of little nuggets on it. There's little switches and
It looks like a jalopy DIY cool modded bass.
It does, and I think that's what has appealed to me of it. That's right. Yeah, it's got all those knobs down there, and they just have always seemed super fly to me.
We're a fan of knobs.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Especially
And
the
he's got
nonsense
the maple
knob.
fretboard, which is always pretty cool, and you don't see on many basses either.
yeah, that's a good pick, man. What are those?
Sorry to make 3 picks today.
no.
Hey, it's okay. This is how this whole thing started, man. We're just constantly talking about this stuff. So
It looks like you were asking how much they go for now, because I'm already looking at that up right now. There's a couple at 700 to 800, and it looks like, oh no, it's sold. Crap. There was one that was for 475, and I was just, it was about to get sold to me. Somebody else got it before me. Oh well.
yeah, cool, man. That's a good one too. If in a weird way, if you're just looking at them, it kind of reminds me of a Ramones guitar.
A little bit, yeah. There's something unrefined about it, right?
Yeah, and sort of off.
I've always been intrigued by that bass as well.
Yeah. Your intrigue is showing right now. Why don't you share with us what your pick is?
It's actually in the bass guitar realm as well.
This is the bass show.
Calm down now. It's okay.
Don't worry. I'll bring it home at the end for the guitars.
Yeah. I'm with Jay. It's the whole signature thing hasn't always necessarily appealed to me, especially from a guitar standpoint. But on the bass, that's a little bit different. I've always wanted to have a modulus flea bass.
Whoa.
Well, it's like I dropped the bomb or something.
I stopped you in your tracks with a whoa.
Yeah, I don't know. Flea's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you asking?
Yes.
Yeah. No, he is. He definitely.
He's all right. Yeah.
He does a thing or two about it. I think.
Exactly. You should check him out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the band's called Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
What are they? I'll have to check them out.
So the modulus, I mean, there's a unique quality to that. Why don't you hit on that?
Are they from California, the Chili Pepper? I thought I heard they were from California.
Not sure.
Somewhere. It might be in one of the songs, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Sacramento.
All of the songs. No, there's just I've obviously enjoyed Flea's playing throughout his career, but it's there's something so awesome about this tone that he gets out of his modulus that I can't describe. In my mind, it's sticky, so there's some kind of low mid-range punch that's kind of unique.
Yeah, definitely. You always hear it.
Yeah,
you always hear
right?
it kind of defined. It's a very well-defined sound. So.
Yeah, it's I was a fan when he was using a Stingray. I thought he got good tones out of that, but yeah, modulus Flea.
So are you going to address the neck at all?
What about it? The carbon fiber?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why you're getting a modulus.
No, I mean, quite honestly, this is the only signature instrument I would get because of...
It just happens to have a good...
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't buy it because of that neck.
All right. Well, maybe you should. It's cool. Any particular color? Does it only come in red?
No, there's all kinds.
All kinds of colors?
And I'm not particular. Although the royal blue kind of Fleck one is kind of delicious in my mind.
Interesting. Yeah, he's sort of a color fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Flea.
Okay, so I'm going to bring the rock home right now because my, I guess, desired signature guitar would be the Joan Jett signature melody maker from Gibson.
Nice.
I love the fact that it's like a raw weapon. It's single pickup, which I don't own any single pickup guitars. I think I've got a barrier for myself with a single pickup guitar. Like I see, any guitars with single pickups. Like, I mean, Billy Gibbons I believe he plays a single pickup guitar. And it's sort of like...
It's like you're afraid.
It's just... That's a lot of space with nothing in it. I'm just used to, pickups, more pickups. But this particular one is this like antique white, and it's a real simple guitar, but it just has such great attitude. Black pick guard. Again, it's got that kind of wobbly, oversized pick guard. It's got, I love the double cutaway. I love it when a double cutaway doesn't look like a metal guitar. And it's also got something cool that I've wanted to, I kind of put it on my Telecaster. I talked about this before I've got the two on-off switches. If you put them both down, it's a kill. But she actually just said, no, I want a kill switch. She's got a kill switch on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's just the one pickup, so you're not going to switch it to anything.
Right.
Just kill it. And I like how, aesthetically, the kill switch, the output jack, and the tone and volume are arranged in that little corner. Just nicely done.
Yep.
And I think with any of these things, we say, yeah, I like that guitar, the way it looks and everything, but like you look at that and all I can hear is Bad Reputation just blasting in my ears. I'm like, that's cool. So
nice.
I've actually been looking around for like used melody makers, the double cut ones. But anyways, so there's my pick.
That's a good choice.
Yeah,
that's an
I dig
excellent
it.
choice.
She's cool, man. I actually met her in the airport in L.A. She is like 4 foot nothing.
Yeah.
Teeny weeny thing.
This guitar is small, yes?
It's not that small. I mean, it's the melody maker's on par with like a junior.
Les Paul Jr., yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so, anyhow, I dig it. Someday I'll have one. Maybe not the Joan Jett one, but, one of those. So anyways, cool. All right. We're going to wrap this up. Dude, Scott,
thank you so much.
Thank
Scott,
you, man.
Oh, guys, thank you. It was a pleasure. I always love running my mouth for as long as I can. So.
Well, you're in good company. So make sure if you guys get a chance, you guys who are listening, check out
Stringjoy.com.
Check out Stringjoy and give those strings a shot. I think you're going to be really pleased. And with that, man, we'll let you get back to your invoices in Nashville.
Sounds good, boys. I've been just chomping at the bit. I'll be right.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please join us on Facebook.com/groups/guitar knobs to share your cool guitar stuff and thoughts on our episodes. We're on Twitter.com/guitar_knobs and also on Instagram @guitarknobs. If you'd like to buy one of our Guitar Knob t-shirts, come visit us at our website, guitarknobs.podbean.com.